Civil rights pioneer W.E.B. Du Bois was born in Great Barrington on February 23rd. And on this, the 150th anniversary of his birth, the Berkshire County town is paying tribute to its native son. Du Bois was a prolific author, and some of his writing has become source material for Ted Thomas, who's the director of the W.E.B. Du Bois Youth Ensemble, which is among the scheduled performers. Thomas and performer Harmony Phillips spoke with me about the event.
The idea, Carrie, was had already formulated actually before I started working with the group. But the idea in terms of what I would do with that group that was sort of semi-formulated was to sort of help focus the work that they were doing and the poetry that they were reading and all that more directly connected to people who were coming to deliver lectures for the W.E.B. Du Bois series.
At Monument Mountain.
Yes, and the students were pulled from Monument Mountain High School, Pittsfield High School, and Taconic. And the whole idea was to bring them together, sort of unify them as a group, and then find, through research, material that would be appropriate for each person who would lecture at that point.
From W.E.B. Du Bois's lexicon.
W.E.B.
Which,
Du Bois.
He was a very prolific writer, and we'll talk a little bit more about the legacy of Mr. Du Bois in a minute. But Harmony, I want to bring you into the conversation. You're a freshman at Taconic High School, right?
Yes.
So what interested you in working with Ted and the ensemble?
I really like reading. I like reading out loud to people all the time. So I was just like kind of drawn to it when Shirley mentioned it to me.
Because what the work of the ensemble is spoken word poetry and sort of elevating the language of Mr. Du Bois, right?
Right. Spoken word to some extent, but actually it's a combination of spoken word and poetry out loud.
Because poetry is in your background.
Yes, exactly. And the whole idea, too, Carrie, was to introduce the students in the ensemble to the literature of Du Bois and the literature of other very important poets and writers who were writing about topical issues, either contemporary poetry or classical poetry. So to read these writers and to immerse themselves in that language and then to say it out loud, to actually feel it and then perform it before the audience, I think was absolutely marvelous, and I still do think so. Opportunity for young people like Harmony and others to be introduced to that language, that work.
And so now as we're approaching the 150th anniversary of the birth of Mr. Du Bois, how do you look at the vast, vast amount of material that he has available? Because he wrote well into his, he died when he was 95, but he wrote almost up until his death. How do you decide what then to work into this program that you'll have the students speak?
What you have to do is maybe look at certain things that pinpoint experiences in his life that would be important to point out and maybe give a glimpse through a script of what that was like. So for the 150th, I thought an obvious place to start would be his birth, where he was born, which was in Great Barrington. And then to look at, through his own words, some of the things that sort of helped shape his identity. He was happy in Great Barrington at first, for a while, but gradually what he called the veil came down, and that was an awareness that, in his words, he was different from the other kids. And that
that he was an African American or predominantly what would have been or probably still is a predominantly white community.
It was. Yeah. It was, in fact. And that identity set him apart from the white students, but also, and I think this is crucial, Carrie, it wasn't an identity via white people that was necessarily complimentary. In other words, he understood that being different was being the other, and the veil separated him from others. Eventually, of course, in his later life and his later writings, he would talk about that difference being extremely problematic.
Right, and he was a real pioneer in that because, he was born just after, a few years after slavery ended, and then he would have been writing in the 1860s and moving forward. So, it would have been very controversial material for people to have been reading and An interesting note for us here in this region is he was a journalist in addition to an author and wrote for the Springfield Republican. So his material would have been widely distributed at that point. Harmony, for you, you're a student, like I said, it's iconic. And one of the interesting things about the youth ensemble is that you're calling on students from different high schools in Berkshire County. What's it like for you to meet students from these different high schools and work together to put on a performance?
It's actually really cool because everyone like has different styles of speaking, and when you work together and you see how like amazing it is speaking together, it's just really cool.
Have you been able to dig into the material yet? Do you have a sense of what some of the words from Dr. DuBois that we'll be hearing that evening on the 23rd?
Yeah, in fact, Harmony and I were doing an impromptu rehearsal. She was in the back seat, I was in the front, and we were trading back and forth.
Yeah.
As often as possible, Carrie, I try to use the actual words from whoever it is whose material that we're using. So with Dr. DuBois, we'll be using his actual words written about his childhood in the Berkshires. He talked at one point about the hills and the trails and all that. And then, in his own words, he talked about, as I mentioned earlier, feeling separated from the other kids. One particular incident was when his classmates were passing out greeting cards that they had bought to each other. And he had a greeting card. He attempted to pass it on to a white girl, and she just looked at it. And that became clear to him that she wasn't accepting the card because it came from him, and that kind of thing. Yeah, and later on, when he confronted real, raw racism in Tennessee and Jim Crow laws that separated whites and blacks legally, and to violate those laws meant that there could be serious repercussions. I used his own words, and the words, the very powerful, extremely sad words when he lost his firstborn son, Burkhart, and because I'm a poet, there's an inclination for me to want to connect pieces that he has written with some of my own words.
Great. So. Well, people can hear more on February 23rd at the Mahaiwe. Thank you so much for coming in and having a chat.
Thank you.
Thank you.